everybody. How are you doing this evening?
I'm super high again.
Conscious is in the house.
Conscious.
Woo! Where's our buttons?
Oh, you didn't even turn it on.
We gotta give Conscious some woo
Hold
woo.
on 1 second, Conscious. Turn off karaoke and this.
We'll be there.
You're welcome.
We really missed you, Conscious. We really did. And I know everybody's been asking about you. So it is such a pleasure to have you on. Cactus, Kiwi, I know Eric, you're on again. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So guys, as everybody knows, we start the show off. I usually give our daily weather. Today we hit 51. We didn't have any rain today, which was nice because it's hard to take the. I hope the sound is okay.
Let me see if there's any echoing real quick.
Does anybody have any echoing or anything like that? Are we sounding pretty good?
There's still an echo. Echo. Yeah, there's some sort of
Do you think
echo.
maybe it's because of the headphone plugged in?
No, that shouldn't be it. I'm so confused.
Or you can put, if I can always put the headphone on, but while you're figuring that out, you guys can let us know. Eric said it sounds good. So
I hear
it is currently, let me see, 37. It says it feels like 36, and I think our low temperature is supposed to be like what we have right now. Now, tomorrow we're supposed to be back in the 60s, but it's supposed to rain all day. And then we're going to be going into a transition. And on Monday and Tuesday, it's falling for snow here in good old PA. So there we go. That was our news or our weather. And in the news, which I just recently started doing, and you're really going to hate me or love me for this one, another disturbing one that I don't know what's wrong with people these days, but going to do this, and then we're going to get into our feature story tonight, which ties in with Gabriella's Tulpas story that she had on Tuesday. I did a lot of research. There might be some discrepancies in some of the things that I found with what other people found, so big disclaimer. If there's something different I say than what you found or anybody else, it's just what I found, folks. I'm not trying to push lies to you or anything like that.
It's
just
in and out of an echo. I don't hear an echo anymore now on the headphones.
I'm wondering if it's just not. Oh, you said you do have the headphones on. I don't know what it is because we never had that problem on here before. For some reason, I'm thinking it's my.
Is it better now? Hold on. Let me see if I turn the echo the whole way down. Is that better? I don't hear an echo anymore through the headphones.
But you are close to the microphone, too.
But I heard an echo when I was talking through it before. It's close to the microphone. Is that good? Is that better now?
Cactus was saying it was just a very slight echo. You don't want our weather, Kiwi. I mean, again, I have to be redundant when I keep on saying this. I don't mind the cold. I don't mind the snow, but I don't like the cold with the rain. There we go. Okay. Okay. What did you do?
The echo was up to like there.
Oh.
And there was another thing. It was the bass.
That makes sense because when I wiped those off the other day, when I wiped that all off, I bet you I bumped the things up.
Off now.
Okay, you're going to love this story, guys. It's another one of those disturbing ones. I mean, I even hate to freaking read it, but again, I said that with the weather, I'm going to start doing one of these each show. And this one is, again, in Ohio. A 9-year-old boy was so malnourished, he tried to drink dishwater. Foster mom claims she was following nutritionist advice. Now, what makes this story bad is not only was this kid 9 years old, but he was a foster son with autism. They said she allowed him to wither away and become so malnourished he felt he needed to drink dishwater. She was 52 years old, and she's facing a charge of felony child endangering. Let me see what else they have here. Investigators learned that the boy lost about 14% of his body weight, which led to a nearly month-long stay at a hospital. He was seen rummaging for food in a garbage can and drank dishwater. Let's see. After her arraignment, her attorney said she had been a foster parent since 2017. She's also caring for a 14-year-old. The attorney said the boy had several medical issues, including seizures. He's also nonverbal because he's autistic. So Lewis was following the recommendation of a nutritionist by feeding the boy specific protein shakes, her attorney reportedly stated. Bull, bull, bull. She was arrested and put on a $50,000 bond. And let's see. The defendant will be wearing an ankle monitor and cannot contact the victim. Stay away from that kid, the judge said. So I'm not even reading anymore. I think that was pretty much the gist of the story, but people are messed up these days. People are so messed up these days. Bad enough the crap that we've been going through lately, but people are messed up these days. So Conscious, you just tuned in on Tuesday. If you get a chance on our other channel, The Other Side with Diane, Gabriella covered Tulpas, which Tulpas will tie in with what I'm doing now. And I'm just going to start off this way. So we're all paranormal investigators. As investigators, we're all out for the same goal. Does the afterlife exist? And how can we prove that it exists? Even as paranormal investigators, we still have that skeptic part of us that until we actually see or experience it, then we start believing. Most of us got into the paranormal because somewhere in our lifetime we experienced something that led us into this field. Now, we are always going to have skeptics. We're always going to have debunkers. As a good paranormal explorer or investigator, as we always said, you try to debunk your own stuff, and you're always going to be skeptical. You're trying to figure out exactly what caused certain thing to happen and what didn't. While back in 1972, there was a parapsychology experiment that was conducted in Toronto, Canada. There was a bunch of researchers that got together. They were from the Toronto Society for Physical or Psychical Research. It was led by Dr. A.R.G. Owen. The group consisted of Owen, his wife Iris, a former chairperson of Mensa in Canada, Margaret Sparrow, industrial engineer, and Andy TL. I don't even see I wrote this down real fast, and some of it I'm not even going to be able to read. And his wife Lauren, a heating engineer, Al Peacock, an accountant Bernice M, a bookkeeper Dorothy O'Donnell, and a sociology student Sydney K. Now I don't know why the last names wasn't on there. I know I got a lot of this from Wikipedia. I also got it from Chat GPT and a couple other sites. Plus, I did watch a couple documentaries on TV. So this group got together.
That's why my YouTube algorithm is so messed up.
Yeah, it is. So, the group was conducted by Toronto Parapsychology Research Society. George Owen was the one that was overseeing the whole thing, the whole group with Dr. Joel Witten. The goal was to see if a group of people could create a ghost, not summon one, but create one that already existed, but to actually manifest a fictional spirit through focused belief and collective imagination. And I said that wrong, not one that already existed. Everything was completely created in their mind. So, and that's what it is. Matter of fact, even somewhere in here it says Tulpa. So don't mind me if I'm going back and forth here. I like have like 5 or 6 pages here of stuff going together. And hopefully I can read some of it because I really was jotting it down. The setup was they created a complete imaginary character named Philip Aylesford, or Aylesford, Aylesford, Aylesford. He lived in the 17th century, so they wanted to pick a time period that they thought would be real appropriate with the whole theme of the experiment, and they liked the time period, the 17th century England. So they came up with Philip Aylesford. He lived in the 7th century England. He was a nobleman, and he was married to his wife was Dorothea, which I'm going to get over to here because there's more about her. Let me see if I can find it. They had him have an early military career, and he was knighted at the age of 16. He was involved in the English Civil War, and he became friends with Charles II, and he was Charles II's he was a spy for Charles II. He was unhappily married to Dorothea, and along the line, he fell in love with a Romani girl who was, she got in trouble. They thought she dabbled in witchcraft, and she was accused of it, and it caused problems, even more problems with him and his wife Dorothea, which when she got accused of witchcraft, they actually got her and they burned her at the stake. So upon all of this happening and it coming out that he did have an affair with her and she was accused of witchcraft and she was burned at the stake, his guilt overwhelmed him. And about a month or so later, when his servants went up to check in on him, apparently he had propelled himself out of a window to his demise. He just couldn't handle the grief and the loss of his young love. But she wasn't exactly the one that he should have been meeting with anyhow. So the setup, they had this imaginary character. So they made all of these things about him, like they made his occupation. Let me see, which he had the wife, he had the mistress. They even came up with a drawing of what they felt he looked like. They had mannerisms that they specifically had for him, and the whole thing was all set up. So the sessions started. They decided they were going to have like seances. So what they did is all 8 of them sat at a table. Now initially they had candlelit. They didn't have like they didn't do like what a normal person would do a seance, but they would have each week they would have a meeting set up, and at each meeting they would tell a little bit more what they wanted to come out of these seances. A little bit more they would talk about Philip himself, and a little bit more they would dive into concentrating to see if everybody in the group could get together to pull out the spirit of this imaginary person.
Did you hear a person out that way?
No,
I just heard a male, like, yell.
it was the skinwalker. I didn't hear anything, but I hear sounds out there all the time. It's probably somebody out there on the sidewalk.
That was weird.
So they would meet each week and they would have these seances. And at first, for the first year, every week, they would have, like I said, the candles, the table. They would have one person in the group really concentrate on Philip and really come out, try to get something to happen. and nothing happened. After a whole year, their experiment, nothing happened. So finally, what they did is they decided to, after that first year, they said, well, we're going to do something. We're going to do a little bit of a change up. So what they did is they, instead of having candlelit, they had the room a little bit more well lit. They had the regular light in the room on. They had it better well lit. And instead of one person at a time in the group asking questions or concentrating on Philip to try to make Philip come out, they had the whole group as a whole either silently concentrate on things about Philip or out loud concentrate. Suddenly, all of a sudden, just out of the blue, they started getting responses. The first responses they started getting, they were seeing there's flickering lights, and then they would ask a question and they would hear like rapping on the table. And at sometimes one of the people said on their side of the table felt like a little warm. And so they would start asking yes and no questions. So they would say, perhaps they'd say, Philip, is this you? And they would get a one knock for yes. And if they would ask another question that didn't pertain to try it out, and they would get two knocks for no.
How do they know that they didn't accidentally conjure up a demon?
That comes later.
Because if a demon would be very manipulative in pretending that it's something else.
That comes later in here. So that's a very good question. That comes later. And that's kind of part of the results, part of the theory. But they would ask specific questions as like, did you have a girlfriend named, I believe her name was Margot. I think that's what her name was. Where was this girlfriend? Where was this girlfriend? A gypsy girl named Margot. And so they would say, did you have a girl, a mistress named Margot, and a tap? And then like different things that happen. At one point, they had they had their hands on the table, and the table would start like tipping. And at one point, the table actually tipped on one leg. And so each week when they came back, things started getting more and more and more intense. And at one point, now I listened to a documentary. Another gentleman said a couple different things. Again, some research that people found might be different than what I found. It doesn't mean mine's wrong. It doesn't mean mine's right. It doesn't mean his wrong. It's just what people happen to find. But at one point, these sounds and knocks and light flickering and that got so bad, the table would literally move, and sometimes it would tip towards a particular person. And at one session, the table went towards a person and actually pinned that person up against the wall and then went back to its original spot.
Yeah, that sounds like a demon to me.
So they kept on doing this. Excuse me, my cough is not good tonight.
I'll go get you a bottle of water.
I have coffee.
My nails.
But they kept on doing this experiment, and the more they experiment each week, the more things happen. Now they did start documenting it. So they did have audio equipment there. They had video equipment and the whole shebang of stuff. A matter of fact, on one of the documentaries I watched, they did actually have a journalist come in and a film crew, and they were filming and documenting some of the things. Now, no apparitions were actually caught in any of the video or with the equipment they used, but a couple of the group that was there claims that they did see a slight mist forming by them, and they think that they conjured up Philip, even though this whole character was created by their imagination. So their sessions started getting more and more results. Um, let's see. Says, according to this, the hypothesis said psychokinetic energy or collective thought might cause paranormal effects rather than actual spirits. So when they did all the analysis and hypothesis and the results of this whole thing, they couldn't totally conclude that it was anything paranormal. They thought that it was all created by the imagination. Some of the skeptics even claim, when they use scientific method and scientific theory, that with them sitting around the table and them all believing and imagining this character as strong as what they did, that it could have been muscle reflex that actually set up some of the things that happened, the rapping, the movement, and that. Although there were cameras very, very close on the group of people on the table, and they were inconclusive on all of it. They could not prove that there was anything that was legit going on, but they couldn't come conclusive either with saying there was anything not legit that was happening in that room. So let's see. Let me see what else I've got here. I don't know. Now these results, because of what happened with the Philip experiment, down the line. Now this took place from 1972 to 1974 is when the first year they really didn't have anything. Come 1973, 74, they were getting results regularly. Up until 2014, in the year 2014, they started conducting other experiments, and they created two other characters. One was Lilith and one was Humphrey. And as soon as they started doing all the description and everything and that on these two imaginary spirits, whatever you want to call them, entities, they got the same results when they, at first, like when they started out, like maybe a month or so would go by, no results. But it's like the spirits or whatever they conjured up at a certain point liked being talked to, liked being asked specific questions, and would start answering in succession to the questions and the comments like they did with the Philip experiment. So they're saying, okay, we're going to go to replicas and reliability. There was two films that came out of the Philadelphia experiment. There was a documentary in 1972 on that experiment. Then there was a horror film, The Apparition, that came out in 2012, and The Quiet Man in 2014. Now, replicas and reliability, they're saying consistency. Even though audio recordings exist, there's lack of video documentation that captured the phenomena. So this absence made it hard for anybody to really assess the conditions, even though similar tests were performed. So even though they had enough audio and video of things moving, they didn't have enough conclusive video to prove one way that it was an actual spirit or anything, because there's no apparition or anything like that that was actually caught on film. So from a skeptical's point, this experiment serves as a compelling study into the human psychic and the influence of human belief in our perception of reality. The move grounded up, what, I don't even know what the heck this says. I can't read it because I scribbled it. This encourages more grounded experiments to interpretation for findings, and emphasizes the need for rigorous scientific method and critical thinking and open-minded skepticism to come to a conclusion and more of an understanding of the world and how these type of things happen. The heart of the experiment challenges our conventional boundaries between the mental and material, suggesting that consciousness might not be as isolated or important as scientific method. If the mind can indeed influence matter or manifest phenomena aligned with collective intention, this opens up the door for understanding, healing, telepathy, and other psychic phenomena. The ability to interact with a fictional entity raises questions about the nature of the existence. Is reality purely objective, or does it have a subjective, malleable component shaped by our beliefs and perceptions? This experiment suggests that consciousness might extend beyond the confines of our mind, hinting of a collective or shared dimension of consciousness that is capable of influence or creative shared experiences. And this goes with the human fascination of the supernatural. This experiment reflects on human condition and our fascination with the unknown, and invites us to be more expansive view of reality. It connects to telekinesis, telepathy, and group consciousness. And that's kind of all the research I got, but going to what Gabriella asked, some of the skeptics, they're still skeptical of the whole fictional and what happened there, but considering that they do have the audio proof and all the recordings, and there was no strings, no movement that anybody could see on the video, even though this fictional character was made up, everything about the fictional character was made up, there were things that was taken off from this character. There were parts of it that was actually brought in from a real person and real places, not necessarily tying to Philip himself. But this leads to the question, if they actually did conjure something up, make something manifest, and they were talking to it, a lot of us know, especially in the paranormal field, sometimes if you have a conversation with somebody on the other side and they're helpful, they're telling you that they're young, they're telling you this, they're telling you that, sometimes it could be not the person they think it is, but it could be something of bad nature. I'm not saying definitely demonic.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said.
But something that
demon,
was of not good, somebody that was maybe evil in life. I mean, it could very well be on the demonic side, but normally it's somebody that's portraying themselves as a good person, but there's a reason they're coming through. And some of the real believers of this Philip experiment has brought that up. They're there when these people actually did get all that activity, poltergeist activity, because there was things being moved. They even put pennies and stuff and that on the table, and the pennies and pencils and that would slightly move on the table by themselves, nobody touching it. They're there. Since they believe so much in this character, did an entity come through that they actually did conjure up, but came through using that character so that they can make their appearance? Now, some of the people in the group kind of were getting a little bit worried at one point, because they said when they did this experiment, some of them went home and some of them had things happen to them when they went home. So it's like whatever happened there in those group meetings, these seances, a few of them claim that they had activity at home after these group meetings, the seances. So that sounds to me like, even though they initially, this whole character was fictional, that they did actually conjure up something, but it was not this Philip who they thought, that it was something else that actually was there that they were able to conjure up and bring in.
like the Conjuring House Bathsheba.
Yeah, exactly. So,
That's what it's
and that's what Kiwi said, the human mind is incredible. It's, and that was the whole thing with this experiment, because they did tie it in. They said it did tie in with tulpas, because everybody knows what a tulpa is and how it's created, and they did tie it into with other things. They dabbled in with, like Slender Man, different things like that, that it got so created by mind that it actually did become a real spirit, entity, whatever you want to call it, and people have been haunted by it. So, I mean, if you believe in angels, if you believe in demons, if you believe in spirits, if you believe in the afterlife, I guess it depends on how strong your mind is, what direction you want to go in. And now, I had teased the other night, like, let's sit here at the table and let's see if we could. Some people have done that. And there have been reports of when they've done that, they're positive that they did get something, but it wasn't the fictional made up character that they thought. That things started happening, things started following.
And this is why
So
we will not be doing that.
that's why it would be dangerous to sit and try to do that, because your mind's psychologically focused on one thing, but what you might bring through could be something that you don't want to dabble with or want to deal
Yeah, I'm not.
So,
no, thank you.
table tipping. I was watching somebody just recently participated in a table tipping. I'm not going to delve in who that was.
Oink, oink.
Makes you think how much paranormal activity comes from people focusing on a single entity. And that's just it. There's so much, like, this whole Philadelphia, this whole Philip experiment, like, there was tons of different things, documentaries on him. Some went back 12 years ago, some went back just as early as 1 year ago. People are still experimenting with this to see what they can come up. We have a lot of people that don't believe it at all, thinks that it was all completely fake with the table tipping and the wrapping and all that. But then there's others that go out and they regret doing it because of what could happen. So, Cactus, I agree with you. When I started delving into it more and more deeper, like, I would have loved to have had several pages, and I really wish I would have rewrote this so that I wouldn't have stammered around on it like I did. But I wanted to make sure that I had enough here to support tonight's show. A lot of the things that I was hearing and seeing, really, like, I know what I've experienced over the course of the years, what made me get into the paranormal to begin with. And I know people that mess with seance. As a matter of fact, we participated in a big mass seance over at the festival. And it was interesting, but it wasn't a regular seance like you would think of seances. It was pretty different. But it does. It gives you chills and it makes you wonder. It's like the things that go on in your mind, and it all boils down to how far will you go. And like I talked about that movie The Martyrs a week or so ago, how far will people go to try to get evidence or prove that the afterlife exists? And, like, what are they willing to participate in? I will not participate in Ouija boards, even though I have a good friend that says, they're safe. You just have to know what you're doing, and they're not what everybody makes them out to be. I still won't dabble in them. Tarot cards, I like oracle cards over tarot cards, but I'm still a little bit about those, because I think a lot of it's just by the luck and draw of the card. But I don't know that I don't want to cut anybody down that's really into it, because it obviously there's a lot of people get readings, including myself, that the readings came out pretty on top of exactly what was going on. So kind of made me believe to that extent. Um, I when I was younger, I dabbled with the Kabbalah, which is worse than a Ouija board, and something happened and it scared the living Jesus out of us. So it just yeah. It just depends on how far you go and and things like that. So but anybody have any questions? And Conscious, I am still so happy to see you on here. Girl, you don't know how much we missed you and how excited we are knowing that you're able to sit there and watch us. So thank you for showing up tonight. Um, and Cactus, you hit right there. I love, and I think that kind of spells it all out and says it. You got to know your limits and what you're comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
And that definitely is like, I don't mind getting psychic readings and stuff like that, but a lot of them I know, like sometimes they're lucky guesses, I think, and a lot of them so general that it could really pertain to anybody. But I've already been like the table tipping incident that we were at. I'm not saying I didn't buy the table tipping part. So sorry, guys, if you're watching. No offense to you, but the psychic part of it, there was things that brought up that not even Tom knew, and a lot of my family didn't know. There was specific things brought up that nobody would have known.
The thing
So
that I don't believe about that table tipping was who possesses the table and the actual tipping part of it, like you said. But
well, here's the thing too, and I'm not cutting. Like I said, I do apologize if it seems like I'm being rude, because I'm not, because everybody does their own thing, and I'm still a little skeptical about it. But I was watching, all of us had all 5 fingers on the table like that. The person that was responsible for the questions and I'm going to say controlling the table, she had her 4 fingers off on the table, but she had her thumb like under the lip.
yeah.
And so it would be easy. And I swear at times I could see that muscle. Like,
and it's not like a big table either. It's a little round table that you move slightly and it will easily topple over.
Yeah.
And so literally, like Mom said, all you have to do is put your finger underneath it and pull up slightly, and you can see the bone in her finger move.
Yeah. So I mean, but the psychic part was like I said, they had me in tears because some of the things that came out. Apparently, one of my first boyfriends from high school that told me in high school that he was going to marry me one day. I guess he has passed. He had passed on several years ago from, I think, cancer. And apparently it came out that he still has a torch for me. So,
it wasn't ironically his name Tom.
Yeah. And like, he's the one when I was in 7th grade, the old chalkboards, and we're talking about there was 4 big chalkboards. And I walk into class one day and he has written in gigantic letters the whole way across the classboard, I love Diane, and my maiden name was Bernowski. So I love Diane Bernowski. And everybody walks into class and they look up and there's that on the chalkboard. Now, when I was in school, I was very, very, very shy. So I walk in and I see that and I'm there like, and I'm walking and I sneak over to my desk and I sit down at the desk and all eyes right on me. And I'm there like, when you're shy in school as it is and you have something like that happen, and wow.
It's like when I was in school, there was just one kid, I don't remember what his name was, but he liked me. And when Frozen came out, it was like the next day or something, I wore my hair in a braid, not because of Elsa, but he started calling me Elsa. He's like, oh, you're so pretty, just like Elsa. And he was like a Hispanic kid. I was like,
She hated it because she had really, really long, really like halfway down her back, golden blonde hair, and everybody called her Rapunzel. And she kind of started getting sick of being called Rapunzel. I said, honey, that's a compliment. You should be like.
No, it was when they called me like Elsa, and Rapunzel was fine until it kept on happening. I was like, that is not my name.
Kiwi says the people who didn't know about Philip get message and communication from him. I think by that time when the experiment came out, I think people started delving onto their own little things, trying to get. I don't think anybody that didn't know anything about Philip got him coming through, because in essence, when they got Philip, they probably didn't get Philip. If they actually did get something or somebody, it was probably something else. Like I said, now two people, they never caught any apparitions or anything like that on there, but a couple people in the group said that they did at one point see like a mist form, and so they thought there was actually something there. But from what I was reading and what I found, and I'm sure that there's just still a lot more research to do on this because I hardly delved into it at all. I'm sure people probably did get communication and that. I doubt that they would get anything from Philip because it would have been imaginary, unless somebody that was maybe like one of the reporters or camera crew or something like that that wasn't actually part of the group decided, hey, or they went home and they started having activity and they're saying it was this Philip and they actually thought they were talking to Philip. I haven't heard of anybody that didn't know of him getting any messages or communication from him. So that's a good question, though, Linda. Very good question. No, the funny thing about I married a Tom, which was ironic. He was kind of like my first boyfriend in school, and to be honest with you, I didn't even know he liked me. My brother my brother, not at the time, but my brother at that time was dating this Tom's sister, and they actually ended up getting married. And then next thing you know, I think it was started when I was in fifth grade. Matter of fact, I'm positive. In fifth grade, I'm sitting in class one day and I'm getting flirted with by this Tom. Didn't think anything of it. I didn't even pick it up as flirting. It was kind of like he was being friendly and I didn't think anything of it. Ironically, my brother and Tom's sister told me that Tom really, really liked me a lot. And from that point on, he was like, I'm not saying obsessed. He really, really liked me. And by the time we got to high school, my hair was down almost to my behind. And he said, look how long her hair's grown. By the time that I marry her, her hair's going to be down way below her butt. So he was already telling people that he was going to marry me. And that was like when I was like a junior in high school, senior in high school. So it's just, I think, but it's weird because everywhere Tom and I go, the Johnston house, when we did investigation there, the husband of the lady over there, her husband's name is Tom. The place my husband used to work down in South Carolina, Thomas Concrete, the guy that owned its name was Tom. We went not too long ago somewhere. I can't remember what we had to get, and maybe I think it might have been a garage. The guy's name was Tom. So it's just, I don't know.
Tom is becoming a popular name, I guess.
So Cactus has the hots for Tom Hardy.
Who's Tom Hardy?
Isn't he a football player?
No. That's Tom Brady.
Oh, Tom Brady, yeah. Which one's Tom Hardy? So why am I thinking of? I'm not sure if I know who Tom Hardy is. Cactus will go, Diane. Like, I'm sorry.
Oh.
Who? Oh, okay. Now I
The
know who
guy
is.
from
Yeah, I know who he is now.
what's it? Venom.
Cactus. Yeah, I know that was a good movie. I like Venom. I'm conscious. I have a dear friend who's a psychiatrist, and we're exploring consciousness. We should talk. We should. We should. Like, I was very like. I bet I could probably sit there and watch several different shows on that because even now there somewhere somebody's dabbling with the Philip experiment because it's fascinating, but it kind of does get scary when you think of, okay, like, here I am starting out with this using my conscious and trying to conjure up or make something manifest just purely from my consciousness. And I don't know what I'm going to get. So, but it was like the conscious the other day, you missed it. We were talking about Tulpas and how they're created out of your imagination. And we were saying about um, groups, like in a lot of it has to do with psychiatric people that have what schizophrenia and stuff like that are very susceptible to conjuring up something like that. But what kind of bothered me in one of the documentaries is they were saying that it was a shared hallucination is how they say it. Well, how could a group of 8 all have the same shared
They would think that
hallucination?
because of schizophrenia, you already hallucinate a bunch of things. But like you just said, a group of people cannot hallucinate the exact same thing.
And these were, I got an itch on my back. These weren't just like, these were people from Mensa and and engineers, and they're different groups of people. Like,
Yeah.
how could a group of 8 all have the same hallucination unless they were taking a drug? That
Even then,
you
you would
wouldn't have
not
the
have
same
the
one. You'd have
exact
your
same.
own. You'd
Yeah.
have your own.
Yep.
So it's kind of like real interesting that I like that. Kind of disturbed me that they would say that. I'm afraid that Warren House will have a cast of ghosts just from stories that are told about the house. See, and that's what the problem. See, that's what they were kind of, I think one of them was talking about, or I guess you could bring up the Conjuring House and their whole thing with, what's her name in there?
Abigail.
Abigail. Because according to some people, that place should not be haunted because there was really nothing happened in that house.
According to psychics that have went in there, she's not in there anymore.
Yeah.
She's no longer. No.
And they said there was nothing even on the land because they said anything even close to that was so far away that it wouldn't have any ties in with the house and everything. Now, I'm kind of wondering if the initial Conjuring house, the one that they used in the film, not the real Conjuring house, but the one that they put in the film, I wonder if things didn't actually happen in that house because it was in a whole different area. And
well, they did say that during the filming of the first Conjuring, Joey King, which was the girl that was like, "Oh, they touched my," she had this like red blood cell thing happen to
itch
her.
on my back, and it's driving me crazy.
Where's that?
It's
in the middle.
It's right by my shoulder blade, right down a little bit, right in that area. Yeah, right there, right there, right there. Okay, I think you got it. Oh, that was driving me crazy. I bet you there's a hair in there.
Oh, I hate when that happens.
I bet you there's a hair.
Something. But yeah, Joey King, she was saying on an interview when they were talking about The Conjuring that she had to go to the hospital because they didn't know what was wrong with her. Come to find out, somehow she had this red blood cell issue and they couldn't figure out why it happened, but it was during the filming.
There was no reason for it to happen, but it
during
happened
the filming of The Conjuring.
Yeah.
And I guess it's not the only weird thing that has happened during the filming of The Conjuring either. There was a few other things, but I cannot remember for the life of me what they were. That one's the one that sticks out in my
Well,
head
you
most.
figure you get a lot of these shows, so you kind of wondering because apparently when a part of the Philip experiment, when they brought in a film crew to start documenting for the movie, they was filming, and when they were there and they were sitting at the table and they were doing their seance, nothing was happening. And then all of a sudden, one of the people in the group says, "What, don't you like being on camera?" Or, "Hey, Philip, do you like being on camera?" And all of a sudden, they started getting a tapping and a response. And as they started talking about being actually filmed on camera, the activity started picking up and the lights started flickering and all stuff like that. So,
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird.
it does. That's what I'm saying. It kind of like ties in where there's a lot of like, you kind of wonder exactly. I don't
It
know.
was like a publicity
I
thing.
got that itch right back again. I bet you I have a hair back there. I bet you any money there's a hair back there. Consciousness, Abigail, the souls and spirits do exist, but it really doesn't go in with your consciousness. I'm probably not saying it right. Not saying it right. Well, see, Abigail does. We do know she exists, but the thing is, a lot of people were saying on upon research that she really, I guess, had no reason to be there. Or she really wasn't the spirit in the house. Like I haven't really done enough research, or I haven't done really any research on the Conjuring House to say one way or another exactly what's true, what's there, what's not there, and stuff like that. So Conscious says, "I'm voice texting. I'm sorry," you said, Abigail, when it picked up. No, you're fine. You're good. You're good. Um, So, does anybody else have any questions in that? Because I know that this is a subject, and conscious Cactus came up with the topics, and I'm glad she did because this is one of them. Like when we left the other night with the Tulpa thing, you're left after this is all over, and you're there like,
A bunch of questions.
okay, like, could this be part of it? Could that be part of it? Like, could
Is
I?
it all just a psychological game, or is it reality?
Yeah,
Who
yeah.
knows?
So, and again, like I said, it goes all in with like, how big of a skeptic are you? How big of a believer? And if you're that big of a believer, is it actually possible for your beliefs to be that strong that you could conjure something up like that, make something manifest? Like, it's something, you know, the biggest thing about this whole experiment is the debunkers, them using scientific method, they had their theories, their hypothesis of how things happen, but it wasn't conclusive. Everything was inconclusive. And that's the same as it was inconclusive of was it true it was inconclusive, or was it not, did it not happen, was inconclusive. So even the big scientists in that can't prove yay or nay either way of what was actually going on during this Philip experiment. So it's kind of amazing. And Kiwi, you're right. Bathsheba is a prime example. According to, matter of fact, Angelina, I know, done a lot of research because she's a big researcher. Says Bathsheba had nothing whatsoever to do with the Conjuring House. Like that was all made up. So I don't know. Like I said, I can't say yes or no.
Well, I thought Bathsheba was just like a cover ghost for the actual like.
I don't know. I don't know how. Like, I mean, watching movies, of course. When you're seeing these shows on like the Conjuring House and the Amityville and that, you got to keep an open mind when you're watching them. There's parts of the, and they say it even in the credits and stuff, and that parts of the movie are based on actual true facts and events, but it's Hollywood. There's a lot of the characters are fictional and just thrown in for the entertainment. So
I lost my name.
you have to wait to after this and see. Let me see. Linda goes. Personally, I don't believe to be as common as some people claim it, but it does exist. I agree on that 100%. Cactus goes, yes, something to be conscious of, I guess. Got to be careful what we think, I guess. Never know what we manifest or summon. And that's where the scary part is. Because, like, I've watched, with being a paranormal investigator myself, I've watched a lot of people. There's two girls that I watch, and I know they're all showboats. It's for because they focus the camera on themselves instead of what they're supposed to be investigating. But watching them when they go into some of these places, they make themselves believe something that never happened. Like you can obviously know something did not happen, but they convince themselves that something did, and they scare themselves, and they're making it so real in their mind that they're actually believing that they just experienced something that you can obviously didn't. So, like, it's just you really have to be careful with that because you never know what the end result's going to be. And this field as it is very, very, it can be very, very scary. Because
especially if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, because you're delving into the unknown. You never know what you're going to get. And you can be the biggest skeptic on the face of the earth, but there's that one thing that happens that they're like, okay. Like, I never in a million years thought we would go to a place where I actually feared of safety. And when we were down in the graveyard down in South Carolina, we got out of there real quick because we actually feared for our safety. And when we were over at a theater doing an investigation, I can't say which theater, but we were at a theater. And what happened with Gabriella and almost Eric, I was afraid. We needed to stop. We needed to get out there. And the funny thing about it is when that incident happened, we were told ahead of time, and we was not to disclose who said it or where it was at, but we were told that the one person felt like there was a very dark presence,
and we didn't believe it
up in that floor.
In the actual theater part of the theater, we really didn't get much. We got, well, until we came home, we realized that the audio wasn't working on the entire video. But other than that, we weren't really getting much activity down there. When we went to the top area,
which you had to go out of the theater building to go to another door that connected to the theater, which held all their props and all their storage and their uniforms and stuff like that.
And the costumes and stuff. In that area is where they told us that there was also a supposed unaliving in the closet. And we were like, okay, well, that's a little bit scary. And the closer you got to it, you could feel that maybe that could have happened. But in the room next to it was the one where we were getting a bunch of things on our spirit box, a bunch of things on our spirit talker. REM pod was going crazy. Just like everything was going crazy. And then when it said like witchcraft and a whole bunch of stuff like that, and then it literally felt like something was like right there trying to just, it was draining all the energy from me. And Eric felt the exact same thing.
Consciousness is the difference between a soul and a spirit. I didn't look that up. That's an extremely good question, but I'm going to have to say yes, because the soul usually derives right from a person, something that was living, and the spirit could be.
But you get these like movies and things where your soul leaves your body and you kind of become a spirit.
Well, I think they're tied in with one another, but I think like a soul usually specifically derives from something that was human, something that was alive, where spirit can be from a what's it called? It was just at the tip of my tongue. From nature, a spirit that's from nature, an elemental. It could be like an elemental or something that was from something of the land itself that was not necessarily like there's like Indians and that from rituals and that and voodoo. If you believe in voodoo, a lot of them can conjure up something, a spirit, supposedly from nothing that it didn't. It was not necessarily attached to a person. It was just like from lore or whatever, which kind of that would actually tie into Tulpas and Philip experiment because it didn't arrive actually from a human being that was once on the earth. It was conjured up
Yeah,
and
but in order for it to be conjured, it has to exist. It must have been terrifying for you and Eric both to be experiencing. Yeah, it was. But
Eric got real razzled by Gabriella, like she
I really think
she
that it
almost
was.
broke down from it. That's how bad it affected
I was
her.
having a panic attack, and I'm pretty sure that if we didn't get out of there as quickly as we did, that I wouldn't have been myself. I'm not saying like it would possess me but that's kind of what it felt. It felt like it was sucking the energy away from me.
Eric said it felt, he said, and Gabriella said it was like there was a real dark presence that was like hovering behind them, almost like hunched over. And Gabriella said she felt like it was almost ready to like, I'm gonna say even like enter her. Where Eric said he had that where it was just so uncomfortable and he could feel it almost like lurking and almost like wrapping over him like and it was just when bad enough that she felt that when she I think has abilities when Eric felt that same feeling and said we need to get out of here, we literally had to hold her arms and help her get because she was that scared and upset.
Like weak. It literally like drained all my energy from me, and I could barely even walk down the steps.
That was probably one of the scariest experiences. And then when we were doing some things in that down in our old house, and me and Gabriella was, which I think we probably shouldn't have done a lot of it, but there was good people there. There was some good ones that came through. Like we had our little jokester. We had Sammy, which he was funny and he really liked me and Gabriella. But at that one point when we kind of just sat on the bed and we both kind of almost like, I can't say, we kind of almost went into like a Estes method, but not quite. We both felt like we were just almost floating and almost getting ready to like leave out of our body.
And then when we opened our eyes, you could see like the room like
we were going into a tunnel almost.
Yeah, it was getting
closing.
smaller and smaller, and it was like spinning too. So it was the weirdest thing that we'd ever experienced.
And the weirdest thing about it is she said it at the exact same time I did. We both said, "Are you seeing or experiencing this?" And
it was almost like we entered like some sort of vortex or something.
Yeah, and we both described it exactly right to the T what it was like. So was that an hallucination then too? Like, or did we kind of almost participate like in a Philip experiment right there ourselves? Like, because that was rather creepy. Like we're there, like soon as we
and then like the writing on the blanket every once in a while, like what the fuck was that about?
Yeah,
there was like weird random letters. It didn't really say anything. I don't think. Maybe a name once. Maybe Sam.
We saw Sam on there once.
Sam was there once, but that could have been Sammy just goofing around with us because he did that all the time.
I think we saw Help. I think Help came on there.
I think it was iffy though, because it was like a
That's
sideways
what, yeah, that's
H.
what it kind of looked like. We kind of thought it said help. Um, yeah, it was just, I think because there was a lot of stuff going on at that house, like there was a lot of things, especially surrounding Gabriella. And I
I think it
really,
was from all the negativity
yeah, yeah.
in my life.
And that is a big factor to anybody that's in the paranormal, especially a lot of psychics will tell you if you believe in psychics. Like I like Amy Allen, I like Cindy Kaiser, Michelle Belanger. I mean, I love her. A lot of them will tell you that if you're going through a lot of trauma, a lot of bad things in your life, you can actually conjure up a poltergeist and poltergeist activity.
I honestly think that I created something in my room. Maybe it was a tulpa. You were talking to it too, though, but
Yeah.
who knows? Maybe we had each other believe that there was something in there and created it. I don't know.
It didn't help either, too, because there's like at least 2 different times Chase went in and he kind of challenged it.
Yeah.
And me and Gabriella would go in, and where there did Chase make you angry, and
it did not like Chase.
Yeah, it did not want him in that room. It did not like his line of questioning, and we kind of had to say, if you go in there, you need to be very careful because they really amped up after you got them fired up in there. So
he made them mad. They did not want to see him anymore.
No, they
even
didn't.
Every time that he pulled out like the spirit box or something, it would either shut off by itself or it would start swearing at him like profusely. And he was like, okay, fuck you too, I guess.
Yeah.
And so we were like, maybe it's best if you don't go back in there, at least like not without us. And that's when we found out that it was like obsessed with me.
No, I didn't like Gabriella going in there by herself, but the time she did, we had our Ring camera, and we'd have the Ring camera in them. If you're going to go in by yourself, I'm turning the Ring camera on so I can watch, so that if something looks kind of out of whack, I'm just right there. I can hurry up and go in. So, but it was weird, and it's like people don't believe in orbs. Now you can tell the difference, and I've said this countless times too. You can tell the difference between orbs and dust. Dust just kind of goes all around. When she would walk into the room, they would either be going all in one direction, like to the left, or coming into the mirror, or coming out of the mirror, or going straight up, completely straight up, or completely straight down. They were going in a specific direction. And it would be when she was in there, she'd walk out of the room. Any one of us could walk in that room right after her and would look at the camera. You might see maybe one orb, which was probably a bug or something. You might see one or two, but not like it was snowing in the room. And we'd walk back out, she'd walk back in, and it looked like it was snowing in the room again. It was
like I created a portal in that room from my mind, and I think that it was like a doorway for any type of spirit to come in and out. And I think some of them needed my help, but I don't know how I was supposed to help them because I don't know how to talk to them except for like through a spirit box or app or something. But even then, I don't know that I'm actually talking to them, so I didn't really bother with that. But I did ask a few of them if there's a way that I could help, and some of them were children, and they were like, "I'm trying to find my mommy" or something like that.
One was a little boy and a little girl, brother and a sister.
Lucy and
Johnny, little Johnny.
Johnny?
Little Johnny.
Lucy and Johnny, they wanted to find their mother, and I was like, the best I can do is tell you to pretend that there's a white light in front of you and go into it. And we never heard from them again. Yeah. So I'm thinking that they crossed over. I'm thinking maybe I helped them cross over, but I don't know.
And Conscious, I know you're back on tonight, and again, I cannot thank you enough for coming on tonight. But I don't know if you know, and I don't know why I'm just thinking of. I don't know if you know that we're no longer affiliated with the jail anymore. I don't know if Gabrielle I ever told you that, or if I
think I
ever
did.
told you that. So, um, he got rid of us with no reason. Long story, but I didn't know if you knew that or not. So, um, yeah, it's matter of fact, if you get a chance to watch any of our videos, we had a very is real emotional, real. It caught us by shock, and we had a real emotional show on informing everybody that we were no longer there. So I wasn't sure if you knew that. Thank you. I really appreciate that, but I didn't think you did know that. So I was, and the only reason why I'm saying is because if you would, I know you had submitted a video and he had it on his site, but I don't think it'll open up on his site. So that if you thought maybe if you was looking into anything pertaining to that there, you're not going to find anything more. This just happened this year too, just a few months back. So I just figured, yeah, you can call anytime. So I appreciate that. I could fill you in, and there's just a lot of bad stuff, but we don't even know all the answers. So, guys, we're at 111 now. I know, especially I know Conscious and Linda, I know you're dealing with a lot of things too. Do you guys want me to read the other story that Cactus submitted to me through my email, or do you want me to save that for a show when now mind you guys I'm not going to be on unless I decide to over at my granddaughter's and my daughter's house, um unless I decide to go on YouTube on a live or something. There won't be any shows this upcoming week, but after that we'll be back full force again. Tuesdays the other side, Thursdays real talk. I could actually do her story. And somebody contacted me on TikTok and they told me that they have a lot of good paranormal stories to tell. And I said, hey, catch us on the other side of Real Talk. So who knows, we might get some stories from that person.
That would be pretty
So, yeah, your buddy's story. So do you want me to read that to you here tonight real quick then?
They
And
said yes.
yes. Okay, so Cactus sent this to me. Now I don't. Gabriella has the video. Oh, and by the way, if anybody wants to see the picture of Philip, I didn't show it on here, but there is a picture that they drew of Philip.
I'll send the video to you. That way we can go on your Facebook on here and then share it.
Okay. Well, you can do that, so you know how to do it. So Cactus sent this to me, and she said it's from her buddy, and she said we'll call him Barry. And he said that he definitely allows us to. He gave us permission to share this story. So he's calling it the Fireman, and this is his story. Now I'm going to read it how she wrote it to me. So he has growing up. I would go to visit my family in a town outside of Guadalajara, Mexico during summer of Christmas break or Christmas break. Sorry. One visit when I was about 5 or 6 years old, my brother was 7 or 8 years old, both in elementary school. I was fairly young where I don't remember the whole trip. The only thing I remembered was this scary incident that happened. And that's when you're such at an impressionable age. What?
She said it's a video that looked similar to what he saw.
Oh boy.
So
I'm going to look up to, that's why I was, because I can reread this again, because when that video sent, I'm going to look up some stuff on that, on the Fireman.
I sent it to you, so I'm going to hurry up and minimize this real quick and see. Pressing buttons.
She's pressing buttons, Linda. I'll continue with the story while she's pressing buttons. Okay, it says, and you can tell me if, Eric, can you still hear me okay? I hope everybody can hear me okay. Okay, it goes, we were at my grandma's house. We were outside on the sidewalk. My older cousin closed the door on us and had locked us out of the house. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The house had a door at the sidewalk with a full-size wall that led into the courtyard area with the rooms in the back of the property. My brother and I were knocking and telling him to let us in. As we were knocking and banging on the door, we started looking around. We noticed a figure about a block down, walking down the sidewalk towards us. I called it the fireman because it had the silhouette of a man on fire walking slowly towards us. It reminded me of the Scooby-Doo cartoon from the 80s with the fire monster. Once we saw this, we both got scared. We started crying and banging on the door harder. Eventually, they let us in before it got to us, and that was the end of it. That would be scary, especially at that age. I think I would have probably had to say, hey, I need to go in quick because I need to change my pants because I soiled myself.
I think I would have too.
I don't remember any adults walking out to check. I don't remember us talking about it with the family inside the house. It was like a nightmare. But once we were let inside the door and got inside, the nightmare ended. To me, it was almost like a dream nightmare I had woken from. Fast forward to about 20 years. I'm about 25 or 26. My brother 2 years older than me. We are with a group of cousins, and amongst us, a paranormal conversation is happening. My brother says, hey, do you remember when our cousin locked us out at Grandma's house and we saw the fireman? That right there confirmed what I had seen and experienced at 5 or 6 years old. After he finished saying the fireman, it clicked in my head, yes. He started describing it in detail. I got goosebumps and the hairs on my arms stood up. Him recalling both of us being locked out by our cousin, both of us banging on the door, crying, trying to get in, both of us seeing him, the fireman, down the street walking towards us on fire, just as I had seen it. Back then, when we were kids, after that incident had happened, we had never talked about it when we got back home to the U.S. We never talked about it in junior high. We never talked about it in high school. It came up as adults later in a paranormal ghost talk among my brother and cousin. Now, it's a story I share because I have validation from my brother that it happened, and it wasn't just a nightmare I had as a kid. The end. And he goes, note, before I would describe it as the silhouette of a man on fire walking because he was made of fire and the fire didn't seem to hurt him. I would describe it like Scooby-Doo cartoon. See pic below, and Gabriella has that video. Later, after my brother confirmed, I searched on YouTube Fireman in Mexico. I came across a video of some kind showing a fire figure near a road. Hard to see in the video, but similar enough to the experience I personally had. You could clearly see the arms and legs, the swinging of arms as he walked. The video is hard to see. I think I seen one YouTube video of encounters in remote areas of Mexico. It happened to other people.
Okay.
That is truly, truly, truly amazing and creepy. So let's see if she can bring up that video. But I'll have to do something on the fireman then. There it is.
Oh
Wow.
my God. That is definitely a man on fire.
Holy heck, if I saw that at 5 or 6 years old, I would never be able to sleep again.
Yeah, you can see
Holy heck.
the whole body and everything.
I'm going to have to do some research on the fireman in Mexico now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, wow, 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 wow.
Wow.
Yeah, I guessed. Cactus said when he told me that story, I freaked out so badly. And seeing that video, and the video looks like it's legit.
Yeah, I didn't see any like deformities or like.
Yeah, it looked like clear cut cut video. Like there was nothing that could have been fake in it.
Wow.
Can you imagine?
And that was an older video too. Let me see how
Why
old that
is it
video
always
was.
when you go to your grandparents' house that you see stuff like that? Like, isn't that? Do you remember your grandparents' house? Remember up there, like where that one weird shaped window is in the house, and you guys never like to go up the steps by that window?
Yeah.
You know which window I'm talking about.
Mhm.
Even me, when I went past it, it
We
kind of
call
gave me
it the dead ladybug
the
window.
poltergeist window.
We called it the dead ladybug window because there was always dead ladybugs in that window. And we
Oh,
couldn't figure out
really?
why. Yep.
I didn't know that.
Yep. It always smelled like dead ladybug, and when you walked up there, you would see the dead ladybugs all on that window.
You see, I didn't know that, but okay, guys. Is there any questions here? Because we're almost at the hour and a half spot. And I know, Linda, I know you don't get very much sleep and you had a long day. Cactus, I love you to death. Conscious, oh my gosh, I can't say that enough. It is so nice having you back on here.
She said grandparents are creepy.
Well, their houses, like it's like every time, like I'll give one quick story before we go tonight.
Well, and Cactus has another thing to say too.
Okay. I would always go to my cousins to their grandparents' house. Ironically, where they lived, there was always stories that they said about the place that they lived, all this creepy stuff that went on. And it was like every time we went there was another new creepy story at her grandmother's house.
Dylan's buddy, Damien, at his grandmother's house, I think, or grandfather's house, is where they thought they encountered a banshee.
See that? Like, that's crazy.
I wonder if it's just like because old people.
Because it's the older, yeah.
Are, like more susceptible.
Yeah, I don't know. It was weird. Cactus said, I asked another friend who lives back and forth in Mexico in the United States, and even he said he's heard stories about being a sighting in parts of Mexico. I'm gonna do some research on it. So Gabrielle and I will get together. We'll do some more. Well, not some more, but we'll do some research on the fireman. And like I said, this week coming up, unless I do a real quick, hey, I'm updating guys from my daughter's house. The following week, we will be going full force again. So on that Tuesday, so
you're gonna have to remind me the day before because
1 week from this Tuesday coming up, we will do the fireman, and then if there's anything tied in with that, we'll do it on that Thursday's Real Talk. So
she said for her, it's the first time hearing about this phenomenon. Would be great looking more into.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Cactus. I never heard anything about the fireman, but watching that video and hearing that story, tell your buddy, thank you so very much for letting me read that. I totally appreciate that, and that was amazing.
Yes, everybody show Angelina good vibes. Go to her, text her, be like, hope you're feeling better.
Yes.
Get your mood up, girl.
Yes, yeah. I'll probably try to call her tomorrow. I was supposed to call her yesterday or the day before, but I've been trying to get everything organized here in the house before I leave my daughter's because Thanksgiving's coming up real fast. So, but again, everybody that showed up tonight, Conscious, love you. So glad to see you back on. We will catch up with you guys again, and you know how we end this. We love each and every one of you, and until the next time we're on here, we're going to say tune in and
peace out.
Goodbye, everybody. Love you guys so much.
We'll see you guys later.
Bye. Thank you, Conscious, for showing up.